And hello, we are live. Our freedom teachings, how to unlock your genius, and then some hourly wellness for a title for this 242nd conversation that we have me, Julian Katari, and Blue Heron Woman here with you, who does this research and prepares it for you so that you might have a really big um, library of freedom, of our freedom teachings, of freedom teachings that will serve you to help you make that final jump into total freedom, into total sovereignty. For which, if you're interested, we have I need Aloha, I need Thou Living, aloha, I need living.com if you wish to know more about that. But for now, we're going to do this conversation. So welcome everyone to this live podcast, because it's also a podcast. And I think we should we should use that word more, because
We should. Yeah.
it seems like a lot of people use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome to the podcast of
Yes. Welcome. Yeah, it is a podcast.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we've been doing it 242 sessions nonstop.
Yeah.
We've only like skipped 4 times maybe.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty cool. So
how do we unlock our genius?
we're okay. Well, and the reason for this is that we need to know this
Mhm.
for structuring our new world,
Mhm.
because it's time to not rely on government anymore, because all they're going to do is restructure the same.
And we all need to be geniuses to co-create our new world. We can't expect to find a pre-created, pre-digested, somebody else make it a system. We have to make it ourselves. We have to be participants.
Yeah.
That's the laziness that we've been programmed into. We don't want to do the work. We always want to find it out there.
Well, and here, so I was going to share this with you personally, but this is the time before we start, because nothing's very long tonight.
Okay.
So there was this guy named William Walker Atkinson that lived. He was born in the late 1800s and lived until early 1900s. And he wrote a huge number of books. He was into the New Thought metaphysics of that era, which produced all the people like Florence Scovel Shinn and Joseph Murphy and Joel Goldsmith. And so I got his book yesterday called The Art and Science of Personal Magnetism. And he's saying all of our primitive rights were suspended from us, which is true. Is like I told you in that text message or in a voice message that my friend who's very religious, goes to church regularly, is a firm constitutionalist. And I'm like, if you believe you're a son of God, why do you need a constitution to give you rights?
Okay, yeah.
So we've been told that our primal rights were suspended from us. And so the law of effort, because it's only through effort that we can stimulate all our talents and gifts in order to awaken them and regain our inner authority for our first rights that have been dormant, our primitive, primeval rights that we have as sons and daughters of Pachamama and cosmic and sky, right? So that's one of the goals of Aloha, I Need Our Living, is that to remember this precious gift in us so that we can stimulate that and we can return with full consciousness to our first state of glory.
Okay.
And we need to be warriors to do that, because to come out of, to recover our first rights, our one and only rights, we need to have the discipline of the warrior. So, and we also need to unlock our genius. So,
Okay. Yeah.
The conventional, this comes from Jacobo Grinberg's work.
Okay.
The conventional story about intelligence is based on a very comfortable lie. We've been told from childhood that some people are simply smarter than others and that IQ scores measure something actual, real, and fixed, and that genius is a matter of luck in the genetic lottery, and none of that is true. Jacobo Grinberg saw that genius intelligence is actually a perceptual skill, which is a way of reading the world. And we're always reading everything. We aren't aware that we are, but we are.
Yeah.
So most of us navigate daily life by absorbing isolated facts. Yes, I have for 50 some years, absorbing isolated facts. Something happens, we label it, we file it away, and we move on. Learning patterns, however, shifts us from cataloging facts to reading the underlying structure, and that is what opens our genius level perception. So, I mean, I've been reading patterns. So we just closed with the eclipse today. We just closed an 8-year cycle and opened up. And I also saw a video that said it's started a whole new, I forget what astronomy calls it, Saros cycle of eclipses. So, and it's the first time Spain has seen a total eclipse in over 100 years. So that's probably the indication that is. So when we learn to read patterns by what's going on in the sky too, we need to, right? It's not just small patterns, it's large patterns.
Okay.
So how do we train for this? Well, number one is assumption excavation. And Don Miguel Ruiz at Toltec says one of the 5 agreements, never make assumptions, right?
Okay.
Assumption excavation. Most thinking happens in our layers of unexamined beliefs about how things work. These are not opinions. They are deeper structural assumptions. Things we've never questioned because it feels like a solid foundation instead of somebody's ideas that we chose to adopt. And really, we didn't choose to adopt them because most of them were programmed into us in our first 7 years of life when we were in the theta brainwave state, which is hypnotherapy. So we were hypnotized into believing that they are solid foundations. So take any belief you hold strongly, including beliefs about yourself, and ask what the conditions of the world would have to be for this belief to be limiting to you or maybe even wrong. So one example of that would be like when I made the decision that back in 2020 that, I'm a veteran on VA disability, they could very easily command me to force me on the threat of taking away my disability to get the shot. And I made the decision right then and there. Okay, go ahead, try it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to wait for that potentiality to happen. I'm going to make the decision right here and now that I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
So we ask ourselves in training this, do I have to experience these conditions for me to let go of a belief? And doing this regularly leads to the ability to hold a belief while understanding that it's only one possible interpretation of what's actually going on in the world rather than the only one possible. Another way to look at this, to say this, is to look at the stories we tell ourselves through these beliefs and wonder whether there might be more rooms in the house than we've explored.
Yeah.
So then structural expansion, number 2. Every piece of information we encounter has surface content and an underlying structure. So a news story is just simply surface content. That's all it is. the underlying structure would be the pattern of how power consolidates during uncertainty. So we need to train ourselves that every time we read or see something to ask, what is the structural principle operating here? And this helps us start noticing that the same behavioral dynamics that play out in political institutions also appear in family systems, small systems. It also helps us see that the same patterns of scarcity or misery imposing keep repeating, and that economics shape conflicts, shape our wars.
Okay.
So that we can make different choices, right? And then number 3 would be behavioral sequence mapping. Watch people in multiple contexts. You'll see patterns. And the point is of behavior, right? And the point is not to judge the pattern, but to understand the internal logic that generates it. So ask yourself, where does this behavior come from? What need is it serving for them? And what does it predict about how that person will behave in uncertainty? Because the bottom line is we all want security, but as the I Ching shows us, it's everything is about change. Everything is always uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is ever truly given.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 4, what is perspective fluidity? And this requires inhabiting another point of view temporarily and feeling its logic without jumping to evaluate it as right or wrong. So this involves taking a position you disagree with and spending 5 minutes building the strongest possible case for it. For it, not against it, for it. This is genuine cognitive immersion, and this is the opposite of rigid thinking.
Okay.
So, and that's really challenging to do. So greater perception, though, does not automatically produce greater wisdom. This kind of wisdom needs the capacity that allows insight to land, to integrate and expand us. Asking questions is a sign of readiness that shows our perception has reached a point of being able to perceive a bigger level of reality. So when we ask questions, we create shapes in our consciousness. Curiosity opens a door, and this is a partnership with our evolving awareness and the expanded net or fabric of love that we are blended with. So wisdom is not information, knowledge is information. Okay. Wisdom is integration into the deep cellular level, and we also have to work on
applied
ethical,
applied knowledge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we also have to look at our ethical and emotional dimensions to be developed. Otherwise, we'll use this to manipulate people. Mm-hmm. And these are more than just intellectual exercises. They are compassion training, especially the perspective fluidity, because when you inhabit another person's internal logic, your relationship to them changes. So we're always asking, what is the structure operating here? What assumption am I standing on or believe? And what would this look like from 3 other angles? Mm-hmm. And if we learn to practice that, we will develop our new world governance structure for sure, that we don't need centralized misery imposition to work from. And there's so much more I could say to this, but I thought for tonight we'd keep it condensed.
Sweet and short,
yeah. So then the hour-by-hour schedule our body was designed to follow.
Okay, what I called hourly wellness, because it would have been a long title.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it's important to point out what it's about. Okay.
So, and you know, the Chinese have, the traditional Chinese medicine has a clock, but this is So did you know that your body's chemistry dictates hour by hour and organ by organ what needs to happen for healthy well-beingness?
Okay.
So 6 o'clock in the morning, you've not consumed fluid for 6 to 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours. Blood is at its thickest, as we talked about last week. So 1 cup of water, 400 to 500 milliliters before checking your phone or drinking coffee or eating is important. And then morning walking. The first 6 steps apply shear force that thins the fluid. The cartilage that received no nutrient delivery overnight begins receiving fresh fluid through the compression and release pumping of each step. So 75 to 85% of the capillaries in our legs close overnight, and they open again within 3 minutes of walking. And 10 minutes of walking captures the full transition cascade into whole body function. Scientists at the University of Pittsburgh also have documented hippocampal growth from that morning walk.
Okay.
First thing. So then 6:15 was the light of sunrise. We've talked about that too much to go into it again.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the importance of that ultraviolet or the blue-rich wavelength. 7 o'clock breakfast, because the pancreas has a clock and the clock peaks in the morning. Insulin sensitivity follows a circadian rhythm, and the meal eaten at 7 o'clock produces a lower glucose spike with a smaller insulin response and more efficient glucose disposal than a meal at 9 p.m. that has identical food and calories, because the body's ability to process them is different.
Okay.
This takes us from looking at our bodies as a machine to a biological process. Right? So protein at breakfast matters specifically because the thermic effect of food is highest for protein at breakfast, along with everything we talked about last week. And, since then I have been eating much more protein with breakfast and doing the 20-minute walk after the 15-minute walk within 20 to 40 minutes after that. And I'm not crashing into absolute exhaustion mid-afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
So it makes a difference. Huge difference. So 8 to 12, this is for city dwellers, the desk hours. Every 30 to 45 minutes, there needs to be 90 seconds of intervention, and we've already talked about that. And standing alone does not solve the problem. A standing desk replaces the hip flexion of sitting with the static load of standing. It trades one compression pattern for another and provides no mechanical input to the systems that require dynamic movement. So some interventions would be 5 deep breaths to open the upper back that has been rounding and the rib cage that is compressing the diaphragm.
Okay.
Distance viewing for 60 seconds means looking at the most distant visual object, holding it there for a while and then back close and then out again and back close, because the ciliary muscle that got locked in some sustained contraction releases with this. The ciliary muscle is the pupil.
Okay.
The pupils dilate when we do this, and metabolic waste gets released. Imagine that. Did we ever know that metabolic waste is released from our eyes?
I didn't know.
Never thought about that they're doing work, so there would be metabolic waste.
Wow.
So, and then 10 deliberate slow blinks to refresh the tear film, and the glass of water at 10 to maintain plasma dilution. And then lunch with a post-meal walk, 20 to 40 minutes, that reduces the post-meal drowsiness.
Okay.
And then between 1:30 and 5 should be nap, exercise, and hydration. Because adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, has been building since 6, and the circadian rhythm or circadian system provides a natural dip that every culture on Earth has recognized.
Okay.
Till our modern industrial civilization. Adenosine, or ATP, the molecule that accumulates during the wakefulness and produces sleep pressure, has been building now for 7 hours. The post-lunch circadian trough produces a natural dip in alertness that aligns with adenosine load. So a 20-minute nap before 2 p.m. clears accumulated adenosine from the synapses without entering slow-wave sleep. So you're not going deep sleep, you're just resting for 20 minutes to let that adenosine clear. Napping after 2 clears enough adenosine to reduce sleep pressure at bedtime and pushes sleep onset later, which compresses our sleep duration that our overnight recovery requires.
Yeah.
The nap is a tool with a time window. Inside the window, it enhances the day. Outside of it, it degrades the night. So the morning is about initiation, setting the clocks, opening the vessels, fueling the machinery. The afternoon shifts to protection, clearing the glucose the last meal produced and preserving the sleep the night needs while processing the fluid that gravity deposited.
Yeah.
And then 3 to 5 p.m. is the exercise window, because core body temperature between 3 and 5, along with muscle contractile force, is highest, and the identical muscles produce measurably more force at 4 p.m. than they do at 8 a.m. Joint flexibility peaks during these hours because the synovial fluid in the joint space is thinnest, and reaction time is fastest, so pain tolerance is highest. Morning exercise should be low intensity. High intensity belongs in this 3 to 5 p.m. window. And all of this is optimal, not absolutely mandatory. So the worst exercise window is the one that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, nothing is mandatory. It's everything
is a guide.
Yeah.
So 4 p.m., the hydration shift. Every milliliter consumed after 4 p.m. is on collision with the 2 a.m. bladder. Front-loading 70% of the day's intake before this hour means the kidneys handle the bulk load when you are awake. So thirst after 4 p.m. should be addressed with small sips. Otherwise, you'll be up and peeing at 2 a.m. 6 p.m. dinner, because the liver has a clock. And the clock is about to shift programs. The conversion of excess carbohydrate to fat accelerates in the evening hours. The carbohydrate load consumed at 7 a.m. is stored as glycogen, which is fuel for muscles. The identical load consumed at 9 p.m. is converted to triglycerides, which is directly associated with heart attacks. It's not that's the other C word, not carbohydrates. Cholesterol. It's not cholesterol, it's the triglycerides. So dinner timing before 7, ideally 3 hours before bed, allows a digestive process to complete before the body transitions to its overnight fasting programs. 8 p.m., screen light. The brain circadian clock, that morning sunlight synchronized at 6:15, is now preparing the opposite signal. Melatonin released from the pineal gland begins about 2 hours before natural sleep onset. And melatonin does not produce sleep. It signals every system that sleep is approaching, initiating the cascade of core temperature reduction, metabolism program switching, and immune system activation that sleep requires. Nobody's ever told us this. Melanopsin receptors, the melanopsin receptors, that morning light activated at 6:15, respond to the blue wavelength from screens with sufficient intensity to suppress melatonin release. So 2 hours of evening screen time can shift melatonin onset by 60 to 90 minutes, compressing the sleep window. Blue light blocking glasses and amber lenses filter the suppressive wavelengths, but the most useful is no screen time in the final 90 minutes before bed.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah. So then bedroom temperature affects the sleep architecture through the core temperature mechanism the body uses to initiate and maintain sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Core body temperature needs to drop by about 1 degree Celsius for sleep onset to occur.
Okay.
The hypothalamus triggers peripheral vasodilation in the hands and feet to radiate heat from the core to the environment. What does that mean in lay terms? The hypothalamus triggers your blood vessels in your hands and feet to dilate, so that radiates.
Okay.
A bedroom that is too warm impedes that. A bedroom between 16 to 19 degrees Celsius provides the thermal gradient the body needs to shed heat that sleep initiation requires. So socks on the feet in the cold room accelerate sleep onset.
Mm-hmm.
9 to 9:30 p.m. Legs up, bedtime sequence. Lying on the floor, flat on the floor, with your legs up 90 degrees against the wall. And this is a Japanese thing that old people in Japan do too, to keep themselves young. Because the fluid that has been pooling in your legs all day is about to fill your bladder if you don't process it now. So 20 minutes like this with your legs above heart level. The gravitational field drains centrally, you urinate before bed, and the volume that would have awakened you at 2 p.m. is now, or 2 a.m. is now already gone. Fascia is most compliant in the evening, so stretching now provides the most lasting change.
Okay.
Then cold water on the feet before bed for 30 seconds before bed is also good to help bring that core body temperature down. Another 9:30 p.m. bedtime sequence, gargling. Gargling for 30 seconds or more gives sustained contraction of the throat muscles, the pharyngeal throat muscles against the fluid load. And these are the constrictors that cause snoring because they're not exercised enough to receive the stimulus.
Okay.
So simplest method for snoring ever is start gargling before you go to bed to strengthen those muscles, and you won't have to wear BiPAP.
Wow. Okay.
Then you hum. After gargling, you hum for 60 seconds. One sustained note. What that does is release sinus nitric oxide, or stimulate sinus nitric oxide production, which stimulates the vagus nerve to put you into rest and digest. So your body's ready to sleep without even having to try to relax. And then your sleep position should be the left side because gravity keeps acid in the stomach better that way. And also left side sleeping avoids compressing the vena cava, the big vein that returns blood to the heart from the body. So optimal return of blood to the heart is supported, and then make sure we're nasally breathing, not open mouth breathing.
Wow. That's very useful tip. I can save a marriage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, and then the last section we're going to do tonight is the practice of universal law. Last week we talked about the one law that governs everything, which is love, right? So the practice of this universal love, how do we align with this law or feel blended with it or connected or how do we stop swimming against love's current and start flowing with it then? Number one, recognize that love isn't something we do, it's what we are. We do not have to generate it. We just need to stop blocking it.
Okay.
Number two, remember that love is our natural state. Number three is start with self-love that recognizes the divine within us, that we are made of God's substance, love substance. And when we reject ourselves, we're rejecting the divine expression that we were formed to be.
Okay.
Number four, then expand it to others and know that you're not loving someone separate. You're loving the same consciousness wearing a different body. So when you love another, you are God loving God through the illusion of separation. And before we say, but how could I ever how could I ever love that person? He was so horrible to me, or she was so horrible to me. Well, first of all, you don't have to like someone or approve of their actions to love their divinity and call it forth.
Okay.
Love is the most powerful healing force in existence. So when someone's not acting their divine self, they're in a state of dis-ease, right? They're not in flow anymore. So when you direct love toward dis-ease, you're applying the fundamental force of the universe to discord. So Edgar Cayce taught people to literally love their cancer, love their depression, love their addictions. He didn't teach to love having it. He taught to simply love it as misdirected life or love for seeking proper expression. He said that cancer is life or love force growing chaotically, and that love can redirect it. He had a woman come to him with breast cancer and discovered that when he started asking her how she was blocking love, she discovered that she absolutely despised her mother. And when she hated her mother, and when she was able to let that go and start speaking love to the tumor, it dissolved.
Yeah, that's so powerful. My mom just saved a calf doing something similar.
That's cool. He said that depression is love turned inward destructively, and addiction is the soul seeking God in substance, and love reveals that God is already within. Cayce told one man that came to him with both legs paralyzed, and the doctors had told this guy he would never walk again, to spend 15 minutes a day sending love to his paralyzed legs, to speak to them with affection, thanking them for their service, encouraging their healing. And 6 months later, the man was walking.
Wow.
Yeah. Medication can force change. Love invites healing. Love carries the frequency of wholeness and reminds the body of its divine pattern. So the number 5, when you face problems, instead of asking, how can I solve this? Ask, where is love blocked so it can dissolve this problem? When we open to love's solution, it's not passive. We're allowing the full blending and attunement to the force that formed galaxies.
Okay.
Number 6, when we experience conflict, remember that there's only one of us here, that the person you're fighting is yourself in another body or garment, costume. Number 7, remember that we're connected to everything through the fabric of love itself. And then number 8, the most important of all, this law lets you know that you're not a solitary being struggling against the hostile world. You are, in fact, an expression of the one substance, the God substance. And the entire universe is designed to support your growth and your contribution to the whole, and you're an essential. You are, in fact, an essential expression of the one substance, and you are needed in the world.
Wow.
And with that, we're going to end.
Well, that's very beautiful. That's very, very special. And that's a compilation of very useful information, all 3 things, all 3 sections of today's conversation. And it's just one more piece of something, a compilation we need to build on. We need to constantly be building, researching, expanding.
The first one, Unlocking Our Genius, and this one is the foundation of Udallville societies.
Yeah. So what is it that we need to continue learning about for next session, for next week?
Well, we're going to go more into the natural laws, hermetic principles, because we really, again, this is the foundation of Udallville's. We really need to understand them. Okay. We'll talk more about a conscious, we'll go deeper into the mentalism, a hermetic principle of mentalism. Everything is mind. We'll also go more into that and talk about the power of words. and using words consciously, which goes into unlocking the genius also. And then for healthy well-beingness, we're going to talk about, and we'll see if we address healthy well-beingness is your spine needs the floor.
Okay.
And then we'll see if we also address some Taoist starts of the bedchamber, talk about a plant that makes soap that you don't need to buy soap. We'll
Cool.
see
So
how it unfolds.
your spine needs the floor. That's a good one. That's something that is just something like if you read it off of my mind, because I always think that we need to lay on the ground and.
Well, and that's why Japanese are more healthy with their sleeping on their futons floor than
and that we need to. I mean, I constantly I spend a lot of time moving around the floor and just being in contact with the ground. I think it's very important. Alrighty, so all of that is what happens here at Owl Freedom Teachings, and a lot more is happening and will happen at Aloha I Need Out Living. So if anybody wants to be part of that at any given level, you can join us as you see fit. Hopefully you can one day make the full jump and join this transformation of our world into a forever, not a forever maybe, but a, what is it, like a 5,000-year golden age? Something like that.
Yeah. Well, make the transition into if you're both man and woman, we need, but specifically the League of the Haudenosaunee, the clan mothers, we need clan mothers. We need wise clan mothers, women that are willing to become clan mothers.
Okay.
And then that requires becoming a warrior also, because that requires discipline and effort, as we heard, to get out of the inertia of just floating along with the system and allowing a centralized government to continue doing the crap it's doing. And then for men, the League of the Haudenosaunee, the clan mothers, raised up their 50 peace chiefs for the League. So we need peace chiefs. We need men to stand up. And this is the call for the true warriors to stand up.
Peace chief. That's a really nice title.
Yeah. Not to kill people, not to go to war, but to stand for peace and love.
That just transforms everything.
Yeah.
Peace chiefs. I like that. Okay. So there you go. Somebody wants to be a peace chief or a mother, a council, a clan mother. Then you can do that by joining Aloha I Need Out Living. AlohaIneedoutLiving.com is our communications platform. Otherwise, you probably can get in touch by any other means here or anywhere you see us. And with that, we are going to see each other next week. Yes. So thank you all. Wonderful conversation. Thank you, Blue Heron Women, and waterfalls of blessings for everyone. See you next week.